Have you ever said something to a woman, and you knew you'd lost her in that moment? Maybe her smile faded, her body language shifted, and she politely excused herself. Now here's the twist. It wasn't because you insulted her. It was because you complimented her the wrong way. Sounds crazy, right? How can something as sweet as you, they make her think about you at 2 a.m., replaying your words like a secret she doesn't want anyone else to know. But here's the catch. These aren't your cheesy, "you're beautiful" lines. In fact, if you use these without the right mindset, you could end up looking creepy, desperate, or fake. That's why we're going to take a page from Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, and combine timeless wisdom with modern attraction psychology. So you not only know what to say, but how to say it like a man in complete control of himself. So stick around until the very end of this video, because once you understand these 3 forbidden compliments, your love life won't just improve, it will transform. And before we dive in, if you're new here, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, and turn on notifications, because the next few minutes could change how women see you for the rest of your life. Part 1. The Stoic Foundation. Before we even talk about these compliments, let me take you back. Imagine Rome in the year 170 AD. Marcus Aurelius sits in his tent in the middle of a brutal campaign. Outside, soldiers sharpen their swords, horses neigh, and scouts rush in with news of enemy movements. Inside, Marcus is writing in his private journal. Not speeches for the Senate, not orders for the army, but reminders to himself. He writes, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Now you might wonder, what does this have to do with telling a woman she looks stunning in that red dress? Everything. Because the way you compliment a woman is not really about her. It's about you, your frame, your control, your inner steadiness. Marcus Aurelius knew something most men never figure out. The less you're needy for validation, the more powerful your words become. And in attraction, that truth is pure gold. Think about it. A man who says, "You're so pretty," with nervous eyes hoping for approval, feels completely different from a man who casually says, "That color was made for you," and then changes the subject. Same compliment, not even close. Because women can feel when a man is trying to win her with words, and they can feel when a man is simply speaking his truth without fear of loss. That's Stoic seduction, unshakable presence. Part 2, the mistake most men make. Before we get to the forbidden compliments, let's destroy a myth. Most men believe the more you compliment a woman, the more she'll like you. They think it's like adding coins to an attraction piggy bank. She looks pretty? Tell her. She smiles. Tell her again. She breathes. Compliment that too. But here's the truth. Over-complimenting is like pouring perfume into a glass of water. At first it smells nice. Soon it's overpowering. Eventually it becomes sickening. Women don't crave constant approval from a man. They crave moments, rare, intentional, and unexpected, that pierce through their defenses. And this is where Marcus Aurelius comes in again. He wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." In other words, compliments work when they're rooted in truth, not in manipulation. And that's why the 3 I'm about to share with you are so powerful. Because they're rare, dangerous if misused, but unforgettable when delivered with calm confidence. Part 3. Forbidden compliment. Number 1. The identity compliment. Most guys compliment surface-level things. Hair, makeup, outfit. You know what women hear? "You've impressed me visually." The forbidden compliment here is deeper. You compliment who she is, not just what she looks like. Instead of "you're pretty," say, "You have a way of making people around you feel lighter." Notice the difference. One is about her body. The other is about her essence. Here's why this works. Psychologically, when you praise someone's identity, you're telling them, "I see the real you." For women, this bypasses vanity and goes straight into the emotional core. And when you can touch that, you leave a mark no one else can erase. But there's a catch. Don't fake it. Stoicism teaches us that false flattery corrupts both the giver and the receiver. If you don't genuinely feel it, don't say it. The power comes from truth. Part 4, Forbidden Compliment. Number 2, the Future Projection Compliment. This one's dangerous because it plants you in her mind in a way that lingers. It's about subtly making her imagine a shared future without saying, "We should be together." Instead of, "You're fun," say, "If you were in my friend group, everyone would fight to sit next to you." Do you see what's happening here? You're not just complimenting her. You're placing her into an imagined scenario with you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. By giving her a vision of you and her together in a positive context, you're coloring her thoughts about you, without pressure, without desperation. And here's the secret sauce. Deliver it in passing. Don't linger. Let her imagination do the heavy lifting. Part 5, Forbidden Compliment. Number 3, the challenge compliment. Most compliments are complete start and end with praise. The challenge compliment is praise wrapped in playful defiance. Instead of, "You're amazing," say, "You're trouble," but in a dangerously addictive way. Here's why this works. Attraction thrives on tension. A pure compliment has no tension. It's safe, predictable. But a compliment that teases, that makes her wonder whether you're warning her or inviting her closer, that's intoxicating. Marcus Aurelius might put it this way: the obstacle is the way. By creating a small obstacle in your words, you create the thrill of overcoming it. Part 6, the delivery matters more than the words. A forbidden compliment in the wrong hands is just a weird sentence. In the right hands, it's an emotional time bomb. The secret? Tone, eye contact, pace. A Stoic man doesn't rush his words. He doesn't over-explain. He drops the compliment like a coin into a fountain. Calm, deliberate, and then he walks away. Remember, you are the untroubled stone. Marcus Aurelius faced assassins, traitors, and invading armies, and never let his emotions run wild. If he can hold that frame under life or death pressure, you can hold it while talking to a woman you're attracted to. Part 7, the real reason this works. At the core, these forbidden compliments are not tricks. They're reflections of a deeper truth. Women are drawn to men who are centered, who see beyond the surface, and who speak with intention. When you use the identity compliment, you tell her she's more than her looks. When you use the future projection compliment, you plant yourself in her world. When you use the challenge compliment, you make her want to prove you right or wrong. And all of this works because you're not seeking her validation. You're giving her a gift, your genuine perception, without needing anything in return. So the next time you see a woman who catches your attention, remember Marcus Aurelius in that tent writing to himself. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Be the man who can drop a compliment that makes her think about you long after you're gone, and then get back to your life. Untroubled, steady, and rare. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time. Hi, Bowles. Hoping for a smile, a thank you, some tiny scrap of validation. But a Stoic man, a man like Marcus Aurelius, doesn't give a compliment to get something. He gives it because it's true, and then he walks away completely untroubled. That's the frame you need before we even talk about the forbidden part. Part 2, the fatal mistake men make. Let's destroy one myth right now. You cannot compliment your way into a woman's heart. The machine gun approach, where you fire off compliment after compliment, isn't charming. It's needy. It's like trying to make a song better by turning up the volume until it distorts. Over-complimenting is emotional noise. At first it's pleasant, then it's overwhelming. Eventually it's irritating. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." If your compliments aren't intentional, they're just verbal clutter. Women aren't starving for more compliments. They're starving for compliments that feel rare. Compliments that slip past the surface and touch something deeper. Part 3, forbidden compliment. Number 1, the identity compliment. Most guys go for the obvious. You're beautiful. You look amazing tonight. Nice, sure. Memorable, not even close. The forbidden compliment here goes deeper. It's not about her hair, her outfit, or her makeup. It's about who she is. Instead of, "You're gorgeous," say, "You have a way of making people around you feel lighter." Why does this hit so hard? Because you're not praising the paint. You're praising the artist. You're saying, "I see the real you, and I like what I see." And here's the psychological magic. When you compliment someone's identity, you create what's called self-concept reinforcement. They begin to see themselves more in line with your words, and every time they live up to that image, they subconsciously think of you. But only use this if you genuinely mean it. Stoicism warns us that false praise corrupts both the giver and the receiver. Example from real life. I was once at a dinner party where a woman was telling a story about helping a complete stranger fix a flat tire. Everyone laughed and moved on. I just looked at her and said quietly, "You're the kind of person who'd help someone even if no one was watching." She froze for a second, smiled, and I could see her posture change. It wasn't about attraction at that moment. It was about being seen. Part 4, forbidden compliment. Number 2, the future projection compliment. This one's dangerous because it plants you in her mind without asking for anything. It's about subtly imagining a future together, without ever saying we should. Instead of, "You're fun," say, "If you were in my friend group, everyone would fight to sit next to you." See what's happening here? You're not just complimenting her personality. You're placing her in a shared world, yours. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When you paint her thoughts with a vision that includes you, you're not pushing her. You're letting her curiosity pull her toward you. Example. I once told a woman after a lively debate over coffee, "If you worked with me, our meetings would never end on time." She laughed, but then she asked me about my job. That's the seed doing its work. Part 5, forbidden compliment. Number 3, the challenge compliment. Most compliments are safe and complete. This one adds tension. Instead of, "You're amazing," say, "You're trouble," but in a dangerously addictive way. Why does this work? Because attraction feeds on uncertainty. A pure compliment is predictable. A compliment with an edge is intriguing. Marcus Aurelius would put it like this: the obstacle is the way. By creating a playful obstacle in your words, you invite her to prove you wrong or prove you right. Either way, you stay in her thoughts. Part 6, delivery is the real game. Here's where 90% of men fail. They memorize the words, but they don't master the delivery. A forbidden compliment in the wrong hands is just a strange sentence. In the right hands, it's an emotional time bomb. The rules: eye contact, not staring but anchored. Tone calm, slow, deliberate. Pace, leave space after the compliment, let it land. A stoic man doesn't rush. He's not fishing for a reaction. He drops the compliment like a coin into a fountain, quietly, then moves on. Part 7, why this works at the core. These compliments work because they're rare, genuine, and delivered from a place of self-sufficiency. They're not about chasing her approval. They're about giving her a piece of truth she didn't know she needed. Identity compliment makes her feel seen. Future projection makes her imagine you in her life. Challenge compliment makes her want to rise to the game. And here's the final Stoic tie-in. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Be the man who doesn't just say what she wants to hear. Be the man who says what's true, rare, and unforgettable." So the next time you see a woman who catches your attention, don't fall back on lazy flattery. Use your words like a master sculptor uses a chisel, carefully, intentionally, and with patience. Because when you do, you won't just make her smile, you'll make her remember. Have you ever said something to a woman, and instead of pulling her closer, you felt her interest drop instantly? Her smile softens. Her gaze wanders. Her replies shrink from paragraphs to one-word answers. Here's the part most men never realize. It wasn't because you offended her. It wasn't because you weren't attractive enough. It was because you complimented her the wrong way. Sounds insane, right? How can something meant to make her feel good actually push her away? Well, imagine you're walking downtown and a street vendor shouts, "Hey, you've got great hair." You smile politely, maybe nod, but it doesn't stick with you. It's disposable. It's for everyone. Now imagine you're sitting across from someone who studies you for a second, leans back and says, "You strike me as someone who would have been a leader, even in another century." Boom. That's not a compliment, it's a mental tattoo. In the next few minutes, I'm going to give you 3 forbidden compliments that, when used with the calm presence of a Stoic, don't just make a woman smile. They make her replay your words in her head at 2 a.m., wondering why she can't stop thinking about you. But before we go there, we need to talk about the frame you deliver them in. Because Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, understood something most modern men never learn. The how matters more than the what. So stick with me until the very end, because I'll not only give you the words, I'll give you the mindset to make them work. And if you're new here, subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on notifications, because what you learned today could permanently change how women respond to you. Part 1. Marcus Aurelius and the Compliment Paradox, year 170 AD. Marcus Aurelius sits in his war tent. Outside, mud, cold winds, the sound of soldiers tending campfires. Inside, quiet, the scratch of a quill against parchment. He's not writing to inspire Rome. He's writing to discipline himself. One entry reads, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. When you compliment a woman, you're stepping into a tiny social battlefield. The insecure man compliments to get something, approval, a smile, validation. The stoic man compliments to give something, truth, insight, recognition. And here's the paradox. When you stop needing something back, you actually get more in return. Parable number 1, the sculptor and the stone. Marcus once compared a man's character to a sculptor shaping marble. A sculptor doesn't chip at the stone randomly, hoping it becomes beautiful. He knows exactly what he's aiming for, and every strike is intentional. Your words are your chisel. A lazy "you're pretty" is like randomly hitting the stone, it does nothing. But a precise, rare compliment shapes the way she sees herself and you. Part 2. Why over-complimenting destroys attraction. Most men think compliments are like coins. Drop enough into her attraction jar and eventually she'll be rich with feelings for you. Wrong. Compliments are more like perfume. A little is enchanting. Too much is nauseating. Marcus wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Over-complimenting is rarely about truth. It's about anxiety. The more you spray it, the more you're trying to convince her, and the moment she feels you're trying to convince her, you've lost. Modern example. A friend of mine, Adam, was on a date with a stunning woman. Every 5 minutes, "You're so gorgeous. You have amazing eyes. That dress is perfect on you." By dessert, she was smiling less. Why? Because it started feeling like a sales pitch. 2 days later, she texted me, yes, me, and said, "He's sweet, but he made me feel like a trophy, not a person." Lesson. Attraction grows in the space between compliments, not in drowning her in them. Part 3. Forbidden compliment. 1. The identity compliment. Surface level. "You're pretty." Deep level. "You have a way of making people feel lighter around you." This isn't about her makeup, her dress, or even her body. It's about her essence. Why does this work? Psychology calls it self-concept reinforcement. When you compliment someone's identity, you make them want to live up to that identity and associate you with that version of themselves. Real-life story. I was at a networking event. A woman told a quick story about calming down an angry client. Everyone laughed it off. I said quietly, "You're the kind of person who can walk into chaos and make people feel safe." She stopped mid-sip, looked at me, and smiled in a way that wasn't about flirting. It was about connection. 2 weeks later, she invited me to a small dinner party. She said she wanted that same energy there. Part 4. Forbidden compliment. Number 2. The future projection compliment. This one's dangerous because it doesn't just praise her. It plants you in her imagination. Surface, "You're fun." Forbidden. "If you were in my friend group, everyone would fight to sit next to you." Now you're subtly putting her in your world without saying, "We should hang out." Marcus wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." You're giving her a thought colored with you in it. Real-life story. On a first date, I told a woman, "If you worked with me, our team meetings would never end on time." She laughed. But 3 days later, she messaged me out of the blue. Still thinking about those meetings. That's the projection seed doing its work. Part 5. Forbidden compliment. Number 3. The challenge compliment. Safe, "You're amazing." Forbidden, "You're trouble." But the dangerously addictive kind. Why it works. It mixes praise with playful resistance. Humans crave tension. It's why cat-and-mouse games are exciting. Marcus would say, "The obstacle is the way." You've created a small, playful obstacle she'll want to overcome. Real-life story. At a wine tasting, a woman tried to guess the origin of each wine. I leaned in and said, "You're trouble. I can tell you'd win any game just to prove a point." She laughed, then spent the rest of the night proving me right. Part 6. The Stoic Delivery Framework. A forbidden compliment in the wrong hands is a weird sentence. In the right hands, it's unforgettable. Rules of delivery. 1. Eye contact. Hold it just long enough for her to feel seen, not trapped. 2. Tone. Calm, steady, almost like you're letting her in on a secret. Tripue. Slow enough to let the words land. Silence after is your friend. The Stoic doesn't rush. He's not fishing for a reaction. He's the sculptor. 1 strike, then stillness. Part 7. 3 more Marcus Aurelius lessons for attraction. Lesson 1. Why be like the rock? Marcus said, "Be like the rock against which the waves crash, yet it stands firm." When you deliver a compliment, don't flinch if she teases you back. That's just the wave testing the rock. Lesson 2, waste no more time. He wrote, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Stop overthinking whether the compliment will work. Just be the kind of man who means what he says. Lesson 3, choose not to be harmed. Marcus taught that we choose how we interpret things. If she doesn't respond the way you hoped, don't spiral. A true Stoic's value doesn't rise or fall on her reaction. Part 8, the core psychology. Identity compliment, she feels seen. Future projection, she imagines you in her life. Challenge compliment, she feels tension and curiosity. All three tap into deeper emotional wiring than generic flattery. Part 9, final reminder. The next time you see a woman you're drawn to, remember Marcus Aurelius in that Cold War tent. Calm, intentional, unmoved by chaos. Be the man who gives a rare, precise compliment, and then returns to his life without needing anything back. Because when you do, you won't just make her smile, you'll make her remember. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.